The city had that late autumn hush, the kind that wraps Manhattan in pale light and tired wind. Lucia pulled her scarf tighter as she stepped out of the subway near 72nd Street, the air tasting faintly of rain and roasted chestnuts. The sidewalks glimmered like old film reels, half reflection, half memory. She hadn't meant to take this route, but memory has its own sense of direction, and tonight it led her here, to the edge of Central Park, where she and Daniel once used to meet on slow Sunday mornings with coffee and too many dreams. The last time she saw him, there had been no fight, no dramatic farewell, just distance, the kind that grows quietly until two hearts forget how to find each other. That was almost 12 years ago. Lucia was 38 now, a freelance photographer, her life a collection of airports and faces. She'd told herself she liked the movement, that it was freedom, not loneliness. But sometimes, when trains rumbled beneath the city, she still thought of him, the man who used to hum along to their sound like each one carried a piece of his soul. Daniel had loved trains, because they never stop moving forward, he used to say, even when they're leaving something behind. She smiled faintly at the memory and crossed the street toward a small cafe, Luna's Corner, the same place they'd gone after their first exhibit. It looked different now, sleeker, colder, but still had that same window facing the park. She stepped inside, and then she froze. There, at a corner table, sat Daniel. Older maybe, but unmistakable. His hair had begun to silver at the temples, and a faint scar ran along his left eyebrow, new, unfamiliar. He was bent over a notebook, pen moving slowly, as though coaxing words from silence. For a moment she just watched him, the world dimmed around him, the chatter, the hiss of the espresso machine, even the faint jazz on the radio. Then he looked up, and his eyes found hers. Lucia. Her name fell from his lips like an exhale, soft and astonished. She smiled, heart stumbling. "You still remember me?" He said, "Some things don't fade. They just wait." He rose, awkward, half laughing, as if unsure whether to hug her or keep his distance. She took the step for him, and they fell into an embrace that felt like time holding its breath. They talked for hours. It was easy, too easy, slipping back into rhythm, the kind that never really dies, just burrows under the noise of life. He told her he'd become an urban planner. Ironic, right? Trying to make order out of chaos. And that he'd stayed in New York all these years, even when he thought about leaving. She told him about her photography, about the places she'd seen, about the gallery opening in Madrid that should have felt like triumph, but only felt like standing in the wrong life. When the cafe closed, they walked through Central Park. The trees were skeletal, the air sharp with November. "Do you ever think about it?" she asked. He smiled sadly. "Every time it rains." They found a bench near the lake. The city lights shimmered across the water like scattered memories. He looked at her hand, the one still holding her camera. "You always see things the rest of us miss." She said, "Not everything." He turned to her, waiting. "I didn't see us ending. I thought love was enough." He nodded. "We were young. Love was everything and nothing else." A silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, just full. Then he said, "I almost called you 100 times, but I figured you'd moved on." She said, "I tried, but some people become a language you never stop speaking." He looked at her, eyes wet. "Mi vida," the old nickname slipped out before he could stop it. Her breath caught. Later, they walked to the 81st Street station. The distant rumble of a train echoed below, deep and low like a heartbeat under concrete. Daniel smiled faintly. "You know what's funny? Every time I hear that sound, I think of you. You'd always make me stop and listen. Because it sounded like the world moving, she said. And we thought we'd move with it forever, he nodded. Lucia's eyes softened. Maybe we still are, just on different tracks. They stood there, two silhouettes in the dim orange light of the street. He wanted to say, "Come back." She wanted to say, "I never left." But time had already written them differently. He said, "I'm getting married." Finally, the words hesitant, apologetic. Lucia smiled small, real. "She must be wonderful." He said, "She is," softly. "Kind, steady." "That's good," she said. "You always needed steady." He reached for her hand, held it between his palms. "You were the fire, Lucia. I just couldn't hold on without burning." She said, "And I couldn't stop burning." They laughed, quietly, brokenly, the kind of laugh that tastes like tears. The next day she stood at Grand Central Terminal, camera in hand, surrounded by motion. The sound of trains filled the vaulted hall, that low, endless hum. Through her lens, the world blurred into soft gold and shadow. But somewhere in that movement, she saw him, Daniel, walking toward a platform with his fiancée beside him, his face calm, his eyes bright. He didn't see her, and she didn't call out. She lifted her camera instead and took one photograph, a moment between departures. That evening, she developed the photo in her apartment, the image slowly blooming into view. Daniel, in motion, the woman beside him, smiling. The light perfect, brief, eternal. She pinned the photo to her wall. Underneath, she wrote one line. "Some loves never end. They just change their address." Outside, a train passed far below the city, its sound rolling through the floorboards like a heartbeat. Lucia closed her eyes, listening, and for the first time in years, she smiled. The end.